Okay, very welcome to another edition of BetBright's 3 to 1, where we discuss some of the most relevant and irrelevant sporting topics of the previous couple of weeks. Joining me, Dean Ryan, in our, BetBright Towers, we have Connor White, we have Peter Welsh, and we have Durbin Nolan, who you'll remember as well from last time. First topic we're going to kick off with this week is talk about the return of the football season. And delighted to say it is back, gents. The Premier League and the Championship now in full flow. We've had a bit of fun with Jimmy Bullard, of course, at BetBright over the last couple of weeks. I think he's managed to rile a Gordon Ramsay, which is never a bad sign, is it? When you get, but it was all about cooking, not football.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think when we went off to shoot the promo video, we were expecting a celebrity spat on Twitter, so we'd have to take it as a good result. But
was there a winner?
I'd say there was two losers in that situation rather than any one winner. But the moral of the story is Jimmy Bullard reckons that he has the beating of Ramsey in any cook-off that he can come up with. So maybe Hell's Kitchen, if that goes again.
It would be Hell.
McGregor against Mayweather there, isn't it?
You think? Bit of a lopsided contest.
What kind of contest do you think they'd have? Would be a fairly equal battle between
Ramsey
the two.
Was supposedly a decent footballer.
He lied about playing for Rangers, didn't he?
Did he lie
He
about
lied,
it?
apparently so.
I think that's
that's the rumour. That's the rumour.
Yeah.
But
Apparently he can play football though. But see, if he does go on, say, a soccer AM with Bullard, they could do a bit of football and a bit of cooking, and no one would really notice in the style of that programme that they could, we could find a true winner.
Yeah. Again, is it two losers or is it any one winner?
Fair enough.
Time will tell.
Let's talk about the actual football then. It's been a little bit kind of contrasted with all the transfer dealings still going on, but the Premier League is back underway. Man United, I thought, was superb in their first game. Looks like Jose Mourinho might have now found the right group of players and the right team to go forward with. Chelsea seem to have had a terrible pre-season and have kicked off then in the same manner, looking big trouble to me, and they've got a massive game against Tottenham coming up this weekend at Wembley. Highlights for you, Peter? You can go first.
Well, for me, negative highlight, I'm a big Chelsea fan. Yeah. And the start we had on Saturday couldn't have gone any worse in defending our title. 9 men we finished with. Gary Cahill, the new captain, sent off 15 minutes in, so it's a complete disaster in terms of the opening weekend of the Premier League. I'd be a bit wary to overreact in terms of saying that Chelsea are done. We're having another
7-1 now to win the Premier League with BetBright.
And I think, you know what, don't write them off just yet, because listen, last season as I say, big Chelsea fans, I can refer to them as we lost 2 of our first 6 games, we drew 1, so we only won half of our first 6 games. Man City won, they were flying last season at the start of the year. They won all 6 of their games very convincingly. So I'd be very wary to write Chelsea off at the moment. Don't get me wrong, we've lost a few players, but I think we've also replaced them fairly well. You look at guys like Matic, she's been replaced with Bakayoko, who's a younger version of him, I think, 23 years old.
Do you think Morata should have come in earlier? He had a very positive impact when he came in off the bench. Should he have come in at half-time?
It's hard to say. When you're
3-0 down.
Exactly, when you're 3-0 down,
he couldn't have a negative impact at that point.
That's true.
He's going to come on and it's going to look different. He gets a pretty easy start against a basement team as well, effectively. And I think Chelsea are in trouble. I think they've been linked with the wrong players pre-season. Since you said they've made good purchases, I think they've got a huge game against Tottenham, who were very professional in their first game without really setting the world of that against a poor side. And Man City were very professional too. I think they've got it all to do.
Don't get me wrong, I think there's still work to be done, and there's 2 weeks left the transfer window. So, all this talk about Conte not walking if he doesn't get the right players in, I think effectively he's proven himself last season. I think he'll get the chance to strengthen the squad somewhat. Maybe he might not get the money that he's sort of supposedly demanding, but in 2 weeks' time, I think we'll have a different Chelsea side, and we'll have, our prospects this season I think we'll be a lot stronger.
Okay, well 7-1 then might be a bit of value in there. Dan, what do you make of the opening week of the Premier League? Good to see Wayne Rooney score and get Everton off to a good start. They've now gone and bought another player in Gylfi Sigurdsson. They keep smashing at the transfer market.
Back in 2001, you could have got Zidane for 45 million.
Yeah. Now it gets you Gylfi Sigurdsson. Doesn't even get
Carl
Walker.
Man City were turned down a bit last night for Johnny Evans, like 18 million.
I saw that.
It's incredible. I mean, even the fact that we Leeds, like we're a club that are renowned for just taking money. We turned down 12 million for Chris Wood, and then we turned down an improved offer afterwards. The money is just insane. I mean, wasn't Spurs were turned down 20-something million for that young left back from Fulham?
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy. But yeah, I'm actually thrilled for Wayne Rooney. Always been a big Wayne Rooney fan. I thought he was done an injustice last year by the English media and fans really. He didn't deserve the rap he got, and it's great at Everton. He looks in great form. He looks in great actually shape.
Doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks in terrific shape.
It's like the hunger comes back, doesn't it? Because he's got something to prove again now,
Yeah.
which is a good thing for him.
And he's flying.
Yeah.
But again, the Premier League, I wouldn't be writing off Chelsea either at all. I think it's opening day of the season, you lose a player very early on. They went 3-0 down, just one of those days. But again, it's very early doors.
Well, the early reaction in that Premier League market sees Chelsea now pushed out to a standout 7-1, which seems a big price for previous season's winners. But I do think they're going to struggle in terms of getting any kind of foothold on the early doors. And they've got a really tough game against Tottenham coming up. Basement Boys had a good start to the Premier League, didn't they, Connor?
Yeah, well, I suppose Huddersfield Town fans were probably pinching themselves on Saturday night, seeing themselves top of the Premier League.
Yeah.
I'd imagine
vocally on social media as well, sending snapshots of Premier League tables.
I'd imagine there was a lot of screenshots and whatnot going around. But ultimately, obviously, I think all three of them are going to struggle. I think United looked incredibly impressive in their game the other day, winning 4-0. Lukaku went off to a flying start. Pogba looked good. Martial looked good. They looked almost like an Alex Ferguson team at one point. And I'd be interested now next weekend, as you said, to see Tottenham and Chelsea. How will Tottenham fare in the new Wembley? But if Chelsea get beaten there again, it's a very bad start.
Chance for Tottenham to kind of bury a perhaps unfair hoodoo about Wembley, because they're playing a Chelsea team who are going to be missing a few players through their own fault and through obviously injuries and stuff, and they seem to be coming together slower. So if Tottenham do go and beat Chelsea, I think they can put the Wembley idea to bed at least for a few weeks and see which way that will go for them for the season. Now they've got some issues in the transfer market. They haven't yet purchased anyone. Seems like they might.
Strong though, anyway.
It is strong, and it's hard to find a first team player to come into that Tottenham team.
I mean,
that is the problem. But they
being
still
selective is no bad thing either.
They still need bodies, though. I think.
Yeah.
They do need bodies.
Yeah.
And Daniel Levy has that history of doing everything on the last day, so then his manager doesn't get the time to kind of bed players in, which I think is always difficult for Tottenham. I picked out 3 games of the weekend that are coming up. Leicester at home against Brighton. I thought 11-8 on was a very big price. About a Leicester team played very well against Arsenal, but got beaten in the end. Tottenham against Chelsea. I thought Tottenham were a big price at 21-20 for that Wembley game. And then Man City take on Everton. Now, a big opportunity for Everton to lay down a marker if they are thinking of being a top 4 team against the Man City side. But do you think they get any change out of Man City if they're away from home?
First, just respect to the point about the teams that came up last year.
Yeah.
I think Huddersfield will be fine. I really do. I don't think the league is that strong. Crystal Palace are awful. There's West Brom that are nearly buying time in that league every season.
Yeah.
You've Stoke that don't look fantastic. It's not the hardest league when you go from the last 6-7 teams down. They're all muchness. I wouldn't be surprised to see Huddersfield, and I can't see Newcastle going down really either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they bumped into a really good Tottenham team.
They did, but they just seemed a bit like John Joe Shelby ruined the game maybe.
Completely ruined the game for them.
Yeah,
so it's that. But at the weekend, I wouldn't be writing Brighton off either. I mean, they lost to Man City. It's not, Man City were by far the most active this year. So Brighton actually didn't cover themselves in all that badness at all.
Okay.
Leicester are very hot and cold. Leicester do very well against a team like Arsenal where it's an open match and they can catch them on the break. Brighton won't sit up like that. Brighton will sit up as a defensive team.
Yeah.
And Leicester have proven that once you figure out their system, they're not all that good anymore.
Yeah, they were a little bit found out last year.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be rushing into back to them. 8-11 anyway, team.
Okay. Everton against City though. Do we think that? I think it's the first chance Everton have got to properly test themselves if they want to be a big 4 team.
I think they send a message if they can get a good result. Even a draw at City,
draw
I
would be
think
a very
is a great
strong
result.
result.
I also think it's a big test for City.
Yeah.
Everton are good. A lot of people fancy Everton this season.
Yeah.
A lot of Evertonians think they're going to finish above their local rivals, Liverpool.
Yeah.
So again, if they're going to live up to the hype, we'll see how good Man City really are this weekend.
Yeah, I think that's a big marker for the Premier League, that game.
Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to that one. We didn't mention Liverpool, but interesting start with a 3-3.
It was, but Watford aren't a bad team whatsoever. Liverpool should have won the match really by where they put themselves.
Yeah.
But a draw was a fair result. But then again against Hoffenheim during the week in the Champions League, they were actually decent.
Yeah.
They just need to sort out the defence. But I thought Jamie Carragher's point that it doesn't matter what defenders you bring in, Klopp doesn't seem to set them up properly for corners. I mean, to have Firmino on their biggest man.
Very simple mistakes they're making.
Absolutely madness.
Yeah.
How Firmino found himself there,
yeah.
And the 2 centre backs are on either side of the box.
But do you
I'm
think
not a coach, but that's just madness.
Do you think they could have any complaints about the offside, or is it just a
That's
matter
football.
that
I mean, it balances itself out over
You win
the
some,
year.
you lose
You
some
know,
over the
it's-
year.
it kind of balances itself out in one game like that as well. They conceded 3 goals.
Yeah.
It wasn't a goal that made a difference. They conceded 3.
That was an equaliser in the last.
Yeah, I
minute.
know, but it's 3 goals they've let in against Watford, and they're Liverpool. They
I know, and if you
shouldn't be doing
if you
that.
allow teams to hang around that long, there's always a chance that something
Absolutely,
like that will
keep
turn.
a team in the game, then you can get a decision go against you.
And Lovren doesn't look anywhere near good enough at all.
No, and I mean, let's just before we end on football, let's just talk about a couple of transfer scenarios that are going on, because it's still very much talked about with a couple of weeks left in the window. It looks like Coutinho now confirms he wants out, and I heard also that he's talking about not playing for Klopp again until the deal gets done. He doesn't worry about his World Cup place. Now, I can't see that happening. If he stays, he's going to want to play football, but he's gone, isn't he?
He has, but he's carried himself
I was
quite
about to say,
decently.
I was
He
about to say,
has.
I
I
think-
mean,
Until it became clear that they weren't going to play ball and sell him.
Yeah.
He's just done all the platitudes, I think, and then
I
you
think
get to a point where I
in
wanna
the
go
way
there.
the Premier League has gone, like, you know, say Danny Rose or Diego Costa or those, I think he's handled himself quite well. I think he'd look back on it and go, he was quite professional the whole way through. You know, he wasn't
Yeah,
in
having
comparison
go
to
at
guys
team-
like Danny
in
Rose and
comparison to
Costa.
those
Yes.
guys, yeah.
But at the same time, if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd say, look, either say you're staying and stay, if not, get gone. Because
I just think Manny's more important to that team anyway than Coutinho was.
Yeah, but that's not the guy they want. So,
Yeah.
like, if you, I mean, it's very difficult to put yourself in a position that he's in, but I think he was saying that I'm happy if a deal can be done and everyone's happy, I'll go to Barcelona. But really, he's saying, I'm saying that, but as soon as you say no,
I want out.
I'm actually.
I don't see why Liverpool don't just sell him and bring in Draxler, who wants out of PSG.
Are Barcelona
just
going
like
to
for
end
like.
up? Are Barcelona going to pay way above market value for him just
Ah,
because of the
2
Neymar
times,
deal that was done?
Yeah.
2-3
so
times
completely
market
flagged the
value.
market.
Yeah, everyone knows.
Yeah.
Everyone knows they have money to spend
They
this year.
just
So
bought
he's going to
Paulinho.
get.
And Spurs ex-midfielder Polino.
Paulinho, yeah.
Yeah.
Bar-
Awful he was.
Bargain of the
He was a great
transfer window,
Tottenham.
by the way, is Matuidi to
Isn't it?
Juventus.
Unbelievable.
18 million quid in this
Deal, yeah.
market.
But you see, had an English club gone in for him, it would have been 40
Yeah.
or 50.
They add on 20,
Yeah,
25
yeah.
million just because the Premier League team might
Yeah.
have shown an interest. And I think that's where Tottenham are struggling at the moment, trying to pick up some players that effectively are for sale on the European market. But when we go in,
But I have to say about Tottenham, I think they've done fantastically well to keep hold of some of their really young and exciting prospects. You look at guys like Kane and Ali, Dyer in particular. Big clubs could have come in for them this summer, and they've obviously kept hold of them. Big clubs haven't come in for them.
yeah.
Why would they leave though?
Pardon?
Why would you leave?
Well, if you can go for guaranteed trophies, I don't even think a Spurs fan would kind of begrudge an Ali or an Eriksen going over to a team that's going to win the league a couple of times, going to figure in a Champions League semi-final or final, because that's an extension of their career, that's a progression, whereas Tottenham are trying to get to that point, so it's great that they want to hang around for now. But I think if we go for another, I say we as Tottenham, but if Tottenham go for another 2 years of third, fourth, second, not making progress in the Champions League, you can't begrudge those guys in leaving.
Yeah.
And I just hope they give us a little bit longer than, say, like a Sol Campbell did when Tottenham were putting a decent team together at the time and just, disappearing. And certainly you don't move across the divide that he did. But, okay. What about Ronaldo? Interesting week for him.
Yeah, he played 24 minutes the other day and against Barcelona, scored an absolutely cracking goal and then got sent off. It'd be very hard to argue with the ban he got. I think once you put hands on a referee, you have to have a zero tolerance
Rules are
policy
rules.
and you have to enforce it. I saw a thing today though that he got a fine of €3,800.
Wow.
So
Very
I'm pretty sure he won't do it again.
That's a fiver to us, isn't it?
Jeez, I'm not even sure if it's a fiver.
No, it's
Yeah.
50
I didn't see the point. I think he
Some
got 3,800. I think it was 1,700 for Real. So
It's great to see they're so on top of disciplinary matters in the Liga and taking it very seriously.
Yep.
Okay, all right, we'll move on from football after that. Thanks, gents.